All right, I'm just all jazzed because Fred talked about the Allman Brothers. Now, for episode 227 of Fine Music, what on earth will Murray talk about? Let's find out.
Well, last week, as I was going through my top 100 CDs, Don pointed out one called by an artist named Chuck Prophet that you weren't familiar with. And I realized I had not done an episode on him. Mostly because when I started doing these, I was looking for like the really obscure things that no one would have heard of. And plenty of people know about Chuck Prophet. So I didn't think he was obscure enough, but maybe he is, or maybe there's, people do deserve to know more about him. Great songwriter. He got his start with an LA band called Green on Red, which were, well, they originally considered part of the quote Paisley Underground, which is kind of psychedelic post-punk bands in LA. It's kind of, but and he wasn't one of the original members. They actually came from Tucson, and after they had moved to LA, he joined them just as a guitarist. But after he joined, maybe coincidence, maybe not, they started leaning more towards what is known as the cowpunk sound, sort of a mix of country and punk rock that I think X exemplified more than anything else. But there were other ones, Lone Justice and Rank and File.
And Tex and the Horseheads. Woo!
So there was a whole cow punk scene going on, and Green and Red kind of became part of that. Just as a digression, I was just thinking about how post-punk took on different forms in different areas. That, like I've mentioned this before, that the post-punk in New York City kind of went with avant-garde jazz and noise and really, extreme things that produced the contortions, and James Blood Ulmer, who I talked about, and actually in the end, Sonic Youth came out of that scene. Whereas post-punk in Britain kind of went, well, first it went really dark with like Joy Division and Public Image Limited. And then a bunch of bands like The Cure and Psychedelic Furs and Depeche Mode, who actually became the pop stars of the 80s, came out of that. Well, I say in LA, it went towards this sort of mix of punk and country. And Chuck Prophet was definitely part of that. And he eventually, Green and Red broke up and he went solo. And it took him several years to really get his footing as a solo artist. But by around 2000, he was doing okay. And I guess the first album which really hit, which is also the first one I ever heard, is this one. It's called No Other Love. Came out in 2002, something like that. I was sent this as something to review, and I was immediately struck by it. I think this is one of his most varied albums. That parts of it are kind of country, parts of it are, basic rock and roll, parts of it are almost hip hop. Just a very interesting mix of songs. So that's the one that made me a fan. And then I started looking into him more and found Chuck Prophet and the Mission Express. That's his band. Let's see if I can get there. This is not, there we go. You can sort of see it there. This is a live recording from 2000, which I really dig, which is very much basic country rock, folk rock, and really demonstrates his songwriting. And then, I went on, and here's another one, Age of Miracles, came out a little later. What's the date on this one? 2004. It's got some of his strongest songs, one called You Did, which is actually a great live tune when he does it live, because he really gets the audience going. And then another one of my favorite songs by him is called Pin a Rose on Me, which is about, you've got that friend of yours, usually like for us guys, it's a woman who's going out with the really terrible guy and you're like, why are you with him? And he gets that really well because he says the verses go, you heard bells, I heard a hammer falling. I tried to tell you who is no damn good. You saw the light, I saw a freight train coming, beat you down like I knew he would. So that's, yeah, powerful stuff. And he is an LA artist. He was born in Whittier, actually. Made his reputation in LA, and then he moved to San Francisco. And for years, he never came back to LA. I don't know, bad taste in his mouth, or just, wasn't popular enough there. But he finally, let me see if I can get a date on this one. We're talking like 2012. He played a show at McCabe's Guitar Shop in Santa Monica.
Santa Monica, yeah.
Yeah, great place. And so I managed to get tickets for that, which is not always easy for McCabe's. And he was promoting this album. This is called Temple Beautiful, and it's dedicated to San Francisco. And the whole album is about life in San Francisco. Castro Halloween. There's a song about Willie Mays is up to bat. Just really, really fun album. But what's really interesting is that the show we did at McCabe's was with a string quartet. So even though the album is a basic rock and roll album, and he had his band with him too, but had a string quartet supplementing it. Also got his autograph. There we go. So then I later found out, I found a bunch of stuff on Bandcamp recently. So, and I think I got this set up right. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So here we have, this is some of the stuff I've downloaded from him. And this is one, Strings in the Temple, is a live recording of not the one at McCabe's, but a show he did in San Francisco with the string quartet. So you can get the feel for how he's worked with, how his songs worked with the string quartet. And if you've got the album itself, the arrangements are actually very, very different. But that's very interesting. And then there's also, Live at the Bowery Ballroom in New York, which is a full, hour something concert, which is very close to, I've seen him several times since then. I saw him a couple of times at the Bootleg in LA. And then when I first moved to Rochester, he was doing a concert in the park, like a month after I got here. So Live in the Bowery Ballroom really well captures what his standard live show is. And then his latest one is The Land That Time Forgot, which came out in 2020, which has got, some good stuff. High as Johnny Thunders, that's an interesting song. Nixon Land, about growing up in Orange County during the age of Nixon. And it's a song dedicated to Donald Trump called Get Off the Stage, which is pretty funny. But it's, like I say, he's a really good songwriter. Pretty basic stuff, but well played. Has a good band, the Mission Express, and I think he's well worth checking out. He's probably got a dozen albums out by now, solo albums, and a lot of them are available on Bandcamp, and and in your local CD store, assuming you still have one.
I'm very intrigued. It's like I interrupted you before. I'm a big fan of Tex and the Horseheads and their Cowpunk, like X.
Okay.
So I definitely got to check out Chuck Prophet. And I saw from your list there was a familiar song title in there called 40 Econoline.
Yes, he has a song about touring in a Ford Econoline van.
Yeah. Okay. So it's not the Nancy Griffith song, because she's a country singer-songwriter.
It's a lot of people have covered his songs. It could be the same song.
Yeah. No, Nancy wrote hers, so maybe. So there are
okay.
2 songs in the world called 40 Line. Gotta be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I was just, my curiosity was piqued. And so while we were talking, I was looking it up, trying to see authorship and all that stuff.
Okay.
Nancy wrote hers. So just 2 songs with the same title. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This, you have definitely increased my interest in checking this artist out.
Cool.
Isn't that what this is all about?
It is.
Find Music, episode 227. Chuck Prophet. Check him out. I'm gonna. You do it too.